Equity crowdfunding is a very exciting and potentially very rewarding way to get investments in startup companies, but there's a few warning signs and a few things you might want to consider first. Let's just jump straight in. Just had an email from Seedrs giving me a reminder for this week's hottest campaigns, and I thought it'd be appropriate to do a video, just a general overview of the performance of Seedrs. For those who don't know what Seedrs is, if you want to invest in startup companies or early stage companies like they do on Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, then Seedrs is one of the oldest and most trusted crowdfunding platforms that allows everyday investors to take very small stakes, usually as little as 10, 15, maybe £20 in these startup businesses. If we just look at this email I've received today, this is saying this week's hottest campaign. So in trying to encourage me to say, look at some of these companies, do you want to invest in some of these? So these campaigns are over 80% funded. So a company goes and says to Seedrs, we want to raise money. Seedrs allows them to list their company on their platform and raises money for those companies. And then Seedrs takes a commission on the amount of money raised. So Seedrs don't actually truly act on behalf of the investors. They act on behalf of the companies they're raising money for. But these are 80% funded. We can see quite a list there. But then if we look at these campaigns are overfunding but still accepting new investors. So these companies have reached their target, but they're still happy to take even more money. And if we look at this list and we go through this whole list, there's actually 33 companies at the moment, right now, are still accepting funding. If you're trying to pick the company you want to invest in, it's almost impossible. If you're going to spend, let's say, an hour researching each business here, you're going to spend an entire week. And an hour probably is not long enough, in all honesty, to do a proper research on these companies, to try and find which companies you might want to invest in. So this could become basically a full-time job. And that really highlights one of the problems with Seedrs. Seedrs, it really is a pin in the dark. That's not the right phrase, is it? What is it in the dark? A stab in the dark. Okay, you can stab with a pin. A real stab in the dark. Now we've also got the Seedrs stats page. Now Seedrs are quite closed about this. If you go to someone like Kickstarter, which don't do equity crowdfunding, but Kickstarter are pretty open with their stats, but Seedrs are always a bit shy, and I think there's probably a very good reason for that. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if you have a different view. My view is that Seedrs are incredibly successful at raising money for their customers. Their customers are the companies. Their customers are not the investors. As investors, they're not even listed here. This is the Seedrs review page for 2019. So go to stats2019.seedrs.com and you can see all this information for yourself. This has been a record-breaking year for Seedrs. This is what they were saying. 250 deals completed. So in other words, they've raised money and they've been successful in that for 250 companies in a year. You know, if you don't want to over diversify, if you're investing in startup companies, you watch the Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, they don't invest in every single business, every pitch that comes to them. Well, with Seedrs there, 250 in a year, that's 5 a week that have been successfully funded. So I don't know, well, 75% successful fund rate there. So there's probably about 8 or 9 different companies every single week coming through Seedrs, and that's set to increase. Invested into campaigns and platform, £283 million has been spent by private investors into these different companies. So that's over £1 million per company being raised, and that's come through 93,737 individual investments. So you could divide the 283 million by 93,783 and find the average investment made. These on the surface seem very impressive statistics, but what is really apparent here when you go with these eyes on is there is nothing on the success here for the individual investors. All they talk about here, except for this secondary market where it says investor exits, that again, I've looked at the small print on that, doesn't mean those investors were profitable. It just means they've exited 7,858 relative to the number of investors, which was They don't actually say how many investors there are, but 93,000 investments in total. And those exits are not guaranteed profits. Those are people who have said, "Bah, stuff it, this is going wrong." Because most of these companies, when you start to dig deeper, most of these companies fail because, like I said, it's a needle in a haystack. It's a stab in the dark when you're investing through a crowdfunding site like Cedars. And that's why I personally prefer to be with the Angel Business Club. They do all the pre-investigation first of all. And as a member with the Angel Business Club, which is allowing me as a private investor, an everyday ordinary person, to get shares in early stage startup companies, just like they do on Seedrs, but without having to do all that effort of trying to investigate which ones are there. And on the Angel Business Club, they've invested only in 18 companies in the last 5 years. 3 of those have already floated on the stock market. So their success rate is absolutely monumental compared to Seedrs. So I do recommend, if you've been considering Seedrs, do also check out the Angel Business Club. I've got a link below in the description where you can go and take a 14-day trial there. And I really do recommend you do that. But hopefully you've found this video perhaps enlightening, giving you some bit more insight as to how things work. Seedrs, remember, is really geared up for their customers. They call them customers. Let's go back down here. Their customers are the businesses raising money. And they're over the moon. They're getting money at the drop of a hat. It's really good for them. But yeah, if you want more videos like this where I discuss and give you tips on early stage investing, I do look at some big stock market investing as well. Also look a bit of cryptocurrency. If those are sort of videos that are of interest to you, do subscribe to my channel. The more subscribers I get, the more support I get, and therefore the more videos and the better quality I can get with these. Ordered a new camera as well. I'm really excited. I should be getting in the next few days, which will hopefully make these even better. So do subscribe and give me a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, anything you'd like me to cover as well as a topic, or if you just think this is a rubbish video, let me know in the comments, because that all just helps me get things better. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.